What's happening, everyone? Welcome back, and if it's your first time here, just plain welcome. The Hearing Protection and the Short Act that would deregulate, short-barreled rifles. Hearing Protection Act would deregulate suppressors. What's going on with them? That's the question I was asked, and honest to God, despite somebody who literally covers this shit for a living, I was fucking clueless. So I asked somebody who has a little bit more knowledge about this, and let's get into that here right now. All right, so first let's talk a little bit about what these acts do. Hearing Protection Act deals with suppressors. Short Act stands for Stop Harassing Owners of Rifles Today. This would remove short-barreled rifles from the NFA list. They would still be regulated as firearms. They just wouldn't require NFA paperwork, a tax stamp, and all that jazz. The Hearing Protection Act does essentially the same thing with suppressors. All that would be left on the NFA list would be things like destructive devices, probably any other weapon, and of course machine guns. These are not the end-all, be-all of what we would want as gun rights, but they're a pretty good start. And things aren't going great. All right. So a lot of people are very confused by what's going on. So I reached out to Ben Sanderson. He is the Deputy Federal Director for Gun Owners of America. He was, talked to me on the phone for a little bit, kind of clarified a few things. But he can only clarify so much. And the reason a lot of you are confused is because this shit is confusing. Honest to God, it's just a freaking nightmare. And, Ben and I are both people who really get into the political nuances, and we're confused. Most people are going to be a little lost. So what's happening with these measures is that they were crafted to be attached to a budget bill. To do that, they have to meet something called the Byrd Rule. Basically, in order to be in the budget process, it has to deal with revenue, right? Either increasing or reducing revenue. Tax breaks can go in there. Things like that can fit into the budget bill just fine. You can't just unilaterally ban soft drinks. Okay, that's not something that fits within that framework. And so that's what these laws were crafted around. And initially they were issued as a proposal for the budget process. And this is important because the budget process doesn't work like regular laws. The minority party, regardless of how many people they have in the Senate, can't filibuster budget bills. Okay? That means you tack something in there, they can't filibuster. They have to outvote it. And that becomes problematic when they're the minority party. They would need people from the other party to cross over, and that's really not likely to happen. So the initial plan was for Short Act and Hearing Protection Act to be tacked in with the budget bill, okay? Because it would reduce the National Firearms Act $200 tax stamp requirement to nothing, among other things. This would, take care of it. But something went sideways. See, Representative Cutsoff from Tennessee introduced a measure, an amendment, that just reduced the tax stamp for suppressors to $0. It does nothing about the paperwork requirements. It does nothing about removing them from the NFA. It just means you don't have to pay $200 for a suppressor. It does nothing about short-barreled rifles. It does nothing about anything else. The House Ways and Means Committee approved that and did not get to the Short Act. That's history, okay? And that's where the last thing a lot of people got was. But there's a lot of other things going on. And yeah, this is fluid, okay? It's pretty fluid, and we're going to have to work on that. We're going to have to talk about it, I should say, because, good Lord, no one knows exactly what's happening at any given moment. All right. So after Ways and Means got done with what they were doing, it went to the budget. It was marked up for the budget committee, if I remember correctly, if my notes are right. Uh, and it was voted down by or Representative Clyde from here in Georgia. If I remember right, he introduced the Hearing Protection Act. Very, very much a pro-gun congressman. Um, it was voted down, because it didn't go far enough, right? It was marked up again and went through. It contained the cuts off language, not Clyde's choice, not the short act either. Um, Now, the Rules Committee has it. And there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, a lot of negotiations, a lot of discussions. The Rules Committee is voting. They've scheduled a vote for 1 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. It is. It feels like the 11th hour. But like I said, there's a lot of ongoing negotiation. I'm checking my notes when I look down. That's what that's about. And a lot of it could still really depend on a number of factors. And one of those factors is you, right? Regardless of when you're watching this, whether you're watching it on Tuesday, May 20th, or the 21st, you've still got a choice to have your voice heard, okay? You can contact members of the House of Representatives, contact your congressman, contact your senators, and we'll get to that in a minute. Tell them where you stand on this, that you want to see these things happen, okay? Because this is just another step. Regardless of what happens with the Rules Committee, the budget hasn't passed. These are just committees. They are marking up, they're adding things and tweaking things, and then it's going to go to a full vote of the House of Representatives. And the truth of the matter is, if they start getting wind that this bill won't pass without the Hearing Protection Act and the Short Act, guess what they're going to do? They're going to tack it on. They can't afford to have this bill defeated. Trump doesn't want that. House leadership doesn't want that. That's just where things are standing right now. And so they are more likely to capitulate. Also, there's a lot of stuff going on right now with the budget. Guns actually aren't the most controversial thing. So there's actually a very good chance that the budget will be delayed, or the Rules Committee will be delayed to some degree, pushing it down the road, giving more time for negotiations, more time to deal with whatever they have to deal with. So calling your Congress critters immediately, right? Calling them, making your voice heard, pester them. Every single one. You've got 2 senators and 1 congressman or congressperson. Call them. Call them today. Call them tomorrow. Call them every day until this is in the budget. Okay? There's been a lot of movement in the last couple of weeks. Sanderson told me that there's been a lot going on, and a lot of it is because of grassroots efforts, like just calling members of Congress and having your voice heard. The truth of the matter is, Cutoff's bill was essentially scraps from the peasant's table. It was just, okay, we'll give them the bare minimum we can that will actually not do anything to kind of just keep them quiet. Don't be quiet, right? Quiet never changes anything in this country. You got to be loud, right? They've got to know what you're thinking. Republicans need to be afraid for their jobs if they oppose gun rights measures. It's not enough to be anti-gun control. They need to be pro-gun, right? You can oppose every gun control bill on the planet. It's not enough. Our rights have been trampled on for generations now. We want them back. So that's kind of where things stand. And if this didn't clarify anything for you, it's because it's not clear to anybody. right? There's a lot of people on Capitol Hill, I'm told, who aren't fully understanding what's going on. They're part of the negotiations and they're confused. If you're confused, do not feel bad, right? I'm confused and this is my tism, right? Politics is my tism and I'm lost, right? People who are working on this from the gun rights side are lost, right? I'm pretty sure you're going to find people on the anti-gun side who are just as confused. So this is where things are, as best we know as of my recording this video. Where it'll be by the time it goes live, who knows? And where it'll be tomorrow, again, anybody's guess. But that's what I was able to find out. This was, like I said, I was a little lost. A little bit of clarification for me. Find out who your congressmen are. Find out who are, congresspeople are. Call them, email them, pester them. Make sure they know where you stand. And maybe we can do some good. All right. But what do you think? Is this a lost cause? Is this something we need to happen more aggressively? The people who've already made these mistakes, should we be primarying them? I'm already hearing that Cutoff may face primary in Tennessee. So what about, what about the others? Should we already punish them or should we warn them? Right? I want to know what you think. Go down in the comments and let me know what's on your mind about this, about the Hearing Protection Act, about the Short Act, about gun rights in general. I want to know it. So tell me. While you're down there, do me a favor, hit the like button, the subscribe button, and that notification bell so that you can be alerted when YouTube, gets around to, alerting you, in theory. And on that note, first, if you want to support the channel, there is a coffee link down below. We are getting very, very close to monetization, and I will probably have some merch or something up soon. You'll be able to support the channel that way. But if you want to do it now, coffee link, couple bucks, every little bit helps. And on that note, I am now going to wrap it up, and I will see you all in the next video.